Hey, what's going on guys, Sniper here, and today I have my first Fortnite tips video for Battle Royale. This is going to be my ultimate beginner's guide to winning in Fortnite. So let's go ahead and get right into the video.
Guess what, Cody? I have full shield.
He's real low on the right.
We caught us with on small shield.
Alright, I killed all three.
You get so cold enough to chill my bones. Feels like I don't know you anymore. I don't understand why you're so cold.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do in order to win in Fortnite Battle Royale is find a bush, one that's big enough for you to fit in, and sit there until the end of the game. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed and hope you learned something. See you next time, guys. Alright guys, all joking aside, here are some of the tips that I'm actually going to go over. I'm going to go over the game controls, dropping into the game, looting up, using health and armor, movement, farming materials, building for fights, some of the game mechanics, playing the storm, and finally the end game. Each one of these sections will have a timestamp down in the description if you want to skip straight to those, if you need to practice something or you want to perfect one of those techniques. Just look down in the description and each one will have a timestamp with it. Okay, so the first thing I want to cover is the controls of the game. So the first thing I do in any game is go to the options menu and look at the controls and see what they are, of course, and just figure out everything I can do and how to do that. Now, most of the time when I play Fortnite, I use a keyboard and mouse, but I also play on PS4 pretty frequently. And when I play on PS4, I personally enjoy the Combat Pro controller layout, since I am able to switch between my weapons much quicker by using the bumpers instead of repeatedly tapping triangle or Y on Xbox. And I just think that helps a little bit, but I also know that a lot of my friends are used to playing on default, and that's fine if that's what you feel comfortable with. I just personally prefer Combat Pro. Another good practice to have when you start playing a new game is to go into the settings and bump up your sensitivity. Here are my settings right now. These are just what I feel are most comfortable for me right now and what are just ideal at the moment. You can use these, tweak them. The most important thing is that it feels right for you. Okay, now that we're through the controls, we're going to go ahead and get into the actual part of the game. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to load into a bus and you're going to have to drop somewhere on the map. So now you have two options for this. The first option is to either drop early or into a high populated area, and the second is to either drop late or into the outskirts. So on this map I have some of my favorite high populated areas to go to in blue, and my other favorites, which are the outskirts, to go to in red. So now dropping down is always risk versus reward. In the blue areas you're going to take the risk of fighting people, obviously without very good loot at the beginning possibly, but you're having the reward of much more chests and just a better opportunity to get higher level weapons and gear. The red areas, you're taking the risk that you might not have as many chests there, so you might not get as great of loot. And if someone does drop there with you, you have the chance of not having a weapon to fight them with in the beginning. But if no one drops there with you, you have those areas free reign to yourself. Okay, so now that we've covered some of my favorite locations to drop at, we're going to move on to looting. Okay, so the best weapons to look for in my opinion are the assault rifle, a shotgun, the suppressed pistol if you can find one, snipers, and explosives. So each weapon has a different rarity, and the rarity affects the damage output, so generally the better the rarity, the more damage you're going to deal. So the rarities go from common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary, and the colors that represent those are white, green, blue, purple, gold. Okay, so starting with shotguns. The tactical shotgun is much more practical if you're playing squads or if your aim is not that great, since the pump requires perfect aim because of its low fire rate but high damage. So if you have good aim, use the pump. Otherwise, use the tac and stick with it. Moving on to ARs, there are three different types of ARs. There is the regular AR, the burst AR, and the scoped AR. The regular AR is the one that you're always going to want to look for in the beginning. The most common one you're going to find is the white AR. Use that if you can find it. If you can't, pick up a burst or a scoped if you have that option. And you're going to want to upgrade anytime you see a new higher level AR. So go from white to green to blue to purple and eventually gold if you're lucky enough to find one. Now for burst assault rifles, the only time I keep those are if I have a low level AR or if I have a slot for my burst and it's a higher level than my regular AR. Other than that, I drop them in order to free up room for other goodies. It's always good to have at least one scoped weapon if you have the opportunity. So if you don't have a sniper already, pick up that scoped if you find one. So silenced pistols are a new addition to the game. They come in purple and gold rarities, and they can honestly be used in place of an AR. So if you have room for them, go ahead and pick those up as well. As I said before, having a scoped weapon is an integral part of this game. So if you find a sniper, any rarity, go ahead and pick that up. So there are two different types of snipers in the game, a bolt action sniper rifle and the semi-auto sniper rifle. The bolt action sniper rifle has the capability of one shot killing someone with a headshot, even if they have full shield and full health. The only reason I would take a semi-auto over a bolt action is if the semi-auto is gold and your bolt is blue. Other than that, keep the bolt action. So there are three different types of explosives in the games. There are regular grenades, the grenade launcher, and the rocket launcher. The grenades are good at destroying bases and you can throw them in there once people start building fortresses. The snowballs work similar to that. They're good for blowing out the bottoms of bases, and rocket launchers are good at pretty much anything, destroying bases and even killing people. So if you have room for them, choose grenades. If you have an option to upgrade, go with the grenade launcher. And finally, if you find a rocket launcher, pick that up and keep it. So that pretty much covers up all the weapons in the game. So now I'm going to move on to healing and shields. For healing, you have two options, bandages and medkits. So bandages drop in a stack of 5 and heal 15 health points up to a maximum of 75 health points. The other health option you have is a medkit. Medkits heal 100 health points, and you do not need to use the bandages in order to get to that 100%. You can heal from 1 health point all the way up to 100 by one medkit. So now we move on to shield. The 3 ways you can get shield is with mini shield potions, and slurp. If you find them, mini shields should always be used first since they max out at a maximum of 50 shield. Regular shield potions heal up 50 shield with 1 use and can get you all the way up to 100 shield. Slurp juice is also a new addition to the game, and it can give you 25 shield over time while also healing you 25 health points. So if you just use bandages to get yourself to 75 health, go ahead and pop that slurp juice and get yourself all the way up to 100 health. It's always a good option to have either a med kit with you or extra shields if you have that opportunity to heal up after you've taken damage. These meds should honestly be prioritized over certain guns if you have the slots. So now that we've covered healing, we're going to go ahead and move on to movement. So the movement in Fortnite is what sets it apart from other Battle Royale games, since you're no longer limited to what you can run on. You can now build ramps, walls, whatever you need to get to another area. So in order to keep myself from being shot in the back while running into the zone, I like to do a jump and looking around technique in order to be aware of my surroundings at all times. It looks a little bit like this. That's about all I feel needs to be said about some movement. We're going to go ahead on to farming materials. So right at the start of the game, once I've looted a little bit, I like to go ahead and start farming materials. I like to get at least 250 wood and about 100 stone by the start of the game in order to build and protect myself. By the end game, I'd like to have at least 500 materials, which leaves about 300 wood and 200 stone or something like that. Now, one tip that I know a lot of people don't realize is that once you hit something, a blue ring appears. Hitting again inside that blue ring does 100 damage versus the 50 that just a regular hit would cause, which allows you to get materials a lot faster and break down things much quicker. So once you've had these materials, you're ready to move on to the next step, which is building for fights. So one of the tips
Yeah,
that the
she's
Fortnite
also
game actually
really
gives you
good.
is no cover,
Yeah,
build
well,
some. If you get
look,
shot
I
at,
wanted to drop you.
immediately build a wall or a ramp. This keeps you from taking more damage than you should, and it also gives you some cover. One of the biggest obstacles to overcome is learning to build. A lot of new players either don't build or they pull out the walls and just walk backwards. This isn't a very good technique since it takes one block between the placement of each wall. So if they break the wall right in front of you, they have a clear shot at you until you're able to put down that next wall. My favorite thing to do when I get shot at is to build 2 ramps and then 2 walls in front of them, and then bandage or shield if I need to, and then peek and take that fight. A lot of other players make a 1x1 base with a ramp inside, but the main thing that you need is to get the height advantage. Now that you know some of these techniques, we should go into the game mechanics. So a mechanic that's different in this game from most games is that there is bullet drop and bullet travel. So you have to lead people and also account for the drop that that bullet is going to take. It's just something you're going to have to learn to adjust to by playing the game. Another big issue in the game is fall damage. If you slide down a mountain, try and build ramps below you in order to account for that fall damage and keep you from taking health points down. One good thing to know is that you can break almost everything in the game, whether it be a car, a tree, another person's building. Almost anything can be broken, which can allow you to open up an area to shoot people from or open up more space so that you can see people. Now that you're this far into the game, you're going to have to deal with the storm. So there are mainly 2 options in playing the storm: edging the zone or playing the middle. So playing into the middle of the storm is a better option if you're trying to camp or if you want to build a fortress up on a high level. Although building a fortress in the early game when the storm is first coming in can lead to an issue since you might run out of materials if you ever have to move again. Edging the zone allows you to keep moving while also kind of staying hidden, but it can bring a problem with other people coming into the zone from the storm. It could lead to you getting shot in the back. My personal favorite technique is to find the edge that's closest to the storm, run around that edge with one side of your body to the storm, which allows you to make sure that there's no one on that side of you while you move into the zone. So now that the zone's coming in, we're going to try and play for the end game. Here there are a couple options. The first option is to either hide in a bush or behind trees or on the crest of hills in order to keep line of sight from other players. The second option you have is to build a fortress if you have enough materials and feel confident enough. There are pros and cons with bases. For one, bases allow you to have cover, but they also draw attention, and people looking for kills tend to target bases. Once you're in around the top 10, always be looking and listening for the remaining players. Try to think about where the people could be, and try and stay on the edge unless you're playing for the middle. Once you're at the end game, only take shots as you think you can hit or open fights that you think you can win. Use other gunfights as distractions. If you need to move into the zone, maybe wait until a fight is going on and you know that you're safe. While other people are in fights, use the opportunity to kill a distracted player. Most times people focus only on the guys that are shooting at them. So if you have an opportunity of an open shot, go ahead and take that person out. Once you're in the final 2, some of the most important things are to have a height advantage and cover. This clip easily could have been a win. I knew where the guy was, I had great loot, and I had the height advantage. My problem was that I gave up that height advantage trying to kill the guy. So let's go ahead and take a look at this clip. So as you can tell, I was pretty set. I had legendary or epic scar, snowball launcher, a sniper rifle, a blue shotgun, and an extra shield even. So I start trying to take out this base because I figured the guy was in here. I wasn't really sure where he was. Did pretty well at destroying that. Had 100 shield and 70 health because I took some fall damage. Then he starts shooting snowballs at me. I get a little worried that some of them are going to stick. So I start to build down, and I fall through that little crack. I find him, runs at me with a shotgun, gets me down to 10 shield and 70 health, and I gave up my height advantage. So I try and build something. My stuff's all messed up. Try and get some shotguns off on him. Hit him for 6 damage, and he hits me in the head. And as you can tell, I was very upset about that. I honestly can't stress it enough. If you have the high ground, try your best to keep it.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
But yeah, so once you're in the last 2, just make sure you have some type of advantage over your other guy. And make sure your shots hit, because missed shots are a good way to get yourself killed. So that's going to go ahead and bring today's video to an end, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed my beginner's guide. I'm going to start working on an intermediate guide that'll have more gameplay tips. Let me know if you're looking forward to that. Leave a like if you want to see more like this. Let me know in the comments if this helps you get a victory royale. I'd love to hear that. And I'll see you next time, guys.